I'm Dr. Sharon Gorman. Welcome back. Before we go over your x-rays, there's a few things I want to go over with you. So a couple of concepts that I want you to understand, since we're playing together on this. This is a participation sport. This is your body. I'm going to teach you as much as I can about your body, and then you're going to be able to make decisions. So I want you to understand a few things. And I've actually been doing this talk for over 30 years for my patients. A lot of doctors don't do a talk like this, but I do, because I honor the fact that nobody will care about your health more than you do. So I want to make sure you understand where we're coming from and where you're going, and hopefully we're going in the same direction. So, started a long, long time ago, late on a Saturday night, in the back of your Chevy, two cells came together. This is the embryology portion of this talk, which means those two cells came together and turned into 4 cells, 8 cells, a whole bunch of cells. It's a miracle that 2 cells can come together, and in just 9 months we have a person. The very first thing in that bunch of cells that's formed is something called the notochord, which is the primitive spinal cord. And the brain and the spinal cord are the very first things to form in a person. The brain being the most important part of the body, it's the only part of the body totally surrounded by bone. A quarter inch thick, and some thicker than others, right? Now, the cool thing about the skull is it protects the brain, but the spinal cord, which is an extension of the brain, if it was surrounded by one solid bone, you wouldn't be able to move around. So what we have is we have a series of bones called vertebra. In being able to move around, you also have the possibility that those bones could move out of place. So here's the brain. The spinal cord runs through these bones. If you imagine where this metal rod is, there's a hole through these bones, like a bunch of donuts stacked up on top of each other. And information, your life force, goes from your brain down through your spine, out between the bones where these yellow nerves, to every organ, cell, and tissue in your body. Now again, because you have mobility, you have the possibility of these bones going out of place, like we talked about the other day. And when they do, that's called a subluxation. The nerve actually gets pinched, and messages you can't get from the brain cell to the tissue cell. So if I wanted to move my hand, for example, and the thought starts in my brain, goes down my spine, right, out to my hand, and I move my hand. That's how your body works. Now, on the other side of it, if that bone is out of place, like I said, it's stuck, it's called subluxated. What might happen, instead of my hand moving like this, it might move like this, or it might move like that, right? In either case, if you were to take an aspirin, I remember when I was a kid, my mother told me to take aspirins when I had a headache, and my headache would go away. And one time I sprained my ankle, she told me, take an aspirin. I said, no, aspirins are for headaches. No, aspirins just cover up things. Aspirins, would that change this? No, it might make me feel better. But until I take that pressure off the nerve, the body is not going to work better. That's what chiropractors look for, that subluxation, so that the messages can get from the brain and back up to the brain from the tissue cell. So what do you think causes a subluxation? One word answer, we all have it: stress. Some kind of stress. The first one we all think of when we think of a chiropractor is physical stress. You fall down, you're in a car accident, you sit at the computer all day, you look at your phone all day, right? Physical stress. Kids are best at physical stress. They go down the stairs on their butt, and if that doesn't subluxate them, they go head first into the couch, right? All physical subluxations. But my personal favorite is the emotional subluxation. That occurs when you're under stress. You're driving home from work and your boss is still sitting on your shoulders, right? It's a joke, but it's not a joke. When you're under stress, the spinal cord, which runs inside of all those bones, it contracts. And when it contracts, what's it going to do? It's going to pull on your weak link. So, God forbid there's a death in the family, I might get a migraine, my husband's got pain down his leg, and my daughter's ulcer kicks in. Why? Because that stress is going to go to the weakest link. And the third kind of stress is chemical stress, which you could think of the chemicals in the environment, and the things we eat, smoking cigarettes. My parents were smokers. And my mother always lost her cigarettes, and she'd say, Sharon, go find my cigarettes. And I'd go in the other room, and I would bring her cigarettes, and I always held them like this, because I was afraid that I had heard that there was cancer in cigarettes, that you can get cancer if you smoke. I thought the cancer was in the cigarettes, so I held them out like this. Now that's ridiculous, right? But when you smoke, it lowers the resistance in your lungs, and cancer cells, which we all have in our body right now, those cancer cells can kick in and take over when the resistance is down. Just like when there's a dead deer laying on the side of the road and there's flies around it. The flies probably didn't kill the deer. They're just hanging out because the deer can't go like this, right? The deer can't protect itself. That's what happens to your lungs when your resistance is down. Chemicals will cause it. I think of it as the fuse box. You know, you ever think of the fuse box in your house? You can get a subluxation by hitting the fuse, just like a physical subluxation, or you can go and abuse your organs and cause a chemical subluxation. In either case, you dictate these stresses in your life and how you handle them. And the more often you subluxate yourself, the more often you have to get adjusted, because as a chiropractor, I clear subluxations. So that brings me to one more picture I want you to take a look at quickly. This is healthy, this is dead. Somewhere along the line you got a symptom. Let's face it, you probably came in here somewhere along here and you said, Doc, the faster and cheaper you can get me there, the better off, because I don't want to have a symptom. Right? So where do these symptoms come from? We already talked about that the symptoms aren't necessarily bad. They're your body's way of talking to you. But watch this, for example. Let's say I'm going to hit a nail in the wall. And I'll tell you right now I'm going to miss. Do my fingers hurt? No, that's ridiculous. They don't hurt. Do they hurt now? Do they hurt now? Boom. They don't hurt until I have bloody fingers. You don't get a symptom until the damage has already been done. And fortunately for both of us, when I start adjusting you, the first thing that happens is the symptom goes away. Not that they were treating it, it's because it was the last thing to show up. Now, where do we get our first subluxation, right? So we're healthy, we got a subluxation. Where do we get the subluxation? Well, I'll tell you where we get, most of us get our first subluxations. We get it at birth. They got to get the head out, right? They got the head, they got the shoulder, boom. First subluxation almost at birth. I've checked personally hundreds of babies under a month old and never checked one without a subluxation. Now, were they sick? No, all but a few of them were fine. They look great. But already they had fuses blown in their spine that they might not have had a symptom show up, remember the fingers, for 20 or 30 years. But when we check them as children and we make sure that their spine is moving the way it's supposed to as children, then they grow up healthier and stronger. Their immune system is better. I have 4 children. They've hardly ever been sick, never been on antibiotics. People say, how come your kids are so healthy? You're so lucky. I think it's more than luck. I make sure that their nervous system is clear because their life is extremely stressful. And a couple of my kids are now college athletes. Imagine what they're doing to their spine. And most of us, you know, most of the athletes will hurt themselves. They'll take something for the pain or they'll rest for a weekend and then they're back at it. But what if they have a subluxation? What if the messages can't get through from the brain cell to the tissue cell? Do we ever look for that? That's what chiropractors look for. I remember years ago when I was a kid, I grew up next door to a dentist. And in his garage, he had a big red toothbrush. And twice a year, he'd go out and it'd be proper spinal hygiene. He would show people how to brush their teeth. You could live without your teeth. Most people don't go to the chiropractor until their back is killing them. And by that point, all the chiropractor can do is make them more comfortable or take care of the damage that's already done. Remember I told you about the hammer? Boom. That every time you hit it, there's more damage done. So, first thing that happens, when we start adjusting you, so all right, let's go back over here. So little Johnny gets a subluxation, the nerves go into his stomach. They give him some formula and he gets a symptom. He spits it back at him. They say, oh, Johnny's a perfectly healthy kid. He can't take that formula. And then he gets older, tries Mexican food. Oh no, he gets all kinds of sick with Mexican food. And now he's gonna go to college and let's put him on Tagam and he's got ulcers. Everybody's got something, right? Now he gets married. Right? Well, let's cut him open. He's got a spare part. We'll take out that stomach, something. Because, again, it's degenerating and you don't even know it. because what are we, as long as you're over here, you think you're healthy. And fortunately for us, like I said, the first thing that's going to happen is the symptom's going to go away. Sometimes after one adjustment, sometimes it'll take 6 months or a year. 2 years, 3 years, if you're going to go back and do the things that subluxated you in the first place, and depending on the degeneration. But the first phase of care is acute care. The second phase of care gives us enough time to locate and correct the subluxation, so that's no longer your weak link. That is pivotal in determining your health for your lifetime. Then what happens when you get over here? And I used to practice out in the West End, and they say, Doc, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. My philosophy is if something's working, don't stop doing it. It's like going on a diet and losing all the weight you want to lose and then saying, oh good, I can eat what I want forever. And before you know it, you gain all your weight back. We're either going in this direction or that direction. Which direction do you want to go in? By getting adjusted regularly, I get adjusted, and most of our patients, somewhere between once a week and once a month. Because life is stressful. It's not going to stop. And by getting checked regularly, you stay here rather than waiting for the bloody fingers over and over again. It just makes sense. And that's why I explain this to you. And most chiropractors, to be honest with, don't take the time to explain it to you, because the second largest reason people go to the hospital is for back pain. And they're in the back pain business. Well, I'm in the life business. Do you know that more and more people are living to over 100? What kind of health do you want to have when you're over 100? The decisions you make now are pivotal to how the rest of your life, the outcome of the rest of your life and the rest of your kids' lives are. Do you know that I tell people that I could do more for their kids than I could do for them, because their kids have longer to live. It's never too young to start with adjustments and to get your spine checked for sure. Matter of fact, we think everyone in your household should get their spine checked. And for 14 days, you could bring anyone that lives under your roof, I don't care how old or young they are, in for a complimentary first visit. The reason is because I want to check them too. I don't want you to be getting healthy and leaving them home to be sick. I used to work for a chiropractor and had this big sign up on the wall that said, go ahead, leave your kids home so they can grow up to be just like you. Too often I hear, when I do a report of findings and show somebody their x-rays, they always say, why didn't anyone tell me about this sooner? I don't know. I've been spending the last over 30 years, we'll put it that way, sharing this truth with people. Because you got to get that you probably have never experienced this. You don't know how your body can work from the inside better. You don't know the difference. It's like when I was a kid, I had a piano. My parents bought me this piano. It cost $50, and I put it in the basement, right? Me and the piano, we were having a good old time. And I loved this piano until one day I went down the street and my neighbor kid had a baby grand sitting in their living room. And I never went back in my basement again, because there was such a difference between a baby grand and a $50 piano where keys didn't even work. May I suggest to you that so far your health has been like a $50 piano, or some degree of. And I invite you to live over here. I invite you to bring your kids in to see where they're at, to check it out, and let us be part of your healthcare team. That's what we're striving for. We're striving for you to have the quality and quantity of life as many of our patients have for generations. When you come in this office and you say, most of the people don't look sick here, that's my goal. I often tell patients that I want to work with the body that you take to the gym, not the one you take to the drugstore. You there's a pill for every ill, there's something to make you feel better, but there's chiropractic that can build your body from the inside and develop true health for a lifetime. In a few minutes, we're going to go over your x-rays, and before we do that, I want you to see some before and afters and some cases that we actually took care of and the results that we got. And when you look at your x-rays, you'll know better what you're looking at. And thank you again for this opportunity to take care of you. I know that you could have chose a lot of different chiropractors, and I'm honored every time somebody walks through that door and gives us a chance to be part of their healthcare team. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And again, it says it on our website, our goal is to exceed your expectations. I hope that chiropractic delivers what you wanted and so much more that you didn't even know was available. Have a fantastic day. Now, in just a few minutes, we will be sharing the results of your recent chiropractic evaluation, and you will see how healthy or subluxated your spine is. First, let's see what a normal, healthy spine looks like on an x-ray, and it will be obvious to you how different a subluxated spine looks. Here's what a normal neck looks like from the side. Should have a banana-shaped curve like this. The first bone in the neck, the atlas, should be angled upward 30 degrees. There should be large spaces between each spinal bone. Alignment like this keeps pressure off of the spinal cord and enables optimum flow of nerve messages. When the neck gets subluxated or misaligned, eventually it loses its curve and straightens out, just like this. This situation puts severe pressure on the spinal cord and the nerves, and especially on the brainstem. If left uncorrected, the alignment continues to worsen, arthritis settles in, and a long, slow slide to deteriorating health occurs. This amazingly can occur for a long period of time without pain, before suddenly appearing without warning. This 57-year-old nurse developed severe chronic fatigue syndrome and eventually cancer of the lymph system before starting chiropractic care. Fortunately, with the help of chiropractic, she was able to fully recover from the cancer and the chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, this is what a normal, healthy, aligned spine looks like from the back. The left shoulder is here and the right shoulder is here. The vertebrae should all line up on the straight line. This is what a badly subluxated spine looks like. This 17-year-old girl's spine was subluxated for years, and her parents had no idea. This picture shows her spine before chiropractic care. As you can see, this spine is quite out of alignment. Unhealthy scenario, to say the least. If this is left uncorrected, it would have caused years of pain and suffering and loss of health. Next, I'd like to show you the same spine after 12 months of chiropractic correction. The correction will now help her enjoy a lifetime of great health. Subluxations are serious. When you choose not to correct your spine, you're gambling with your health. Your health slowly deteriorates without you even knowing it. Then the bottom falls out, and you wonder why. This 5-year-old girl had a bad birth and eventually developed severe allergies and asthma. Look how bad a 5-year-old spine can be. This is why we make it a point to check everyone in the family. Finally, this 65-year-old lady suffered from 4 strokes before finally getting under chiropractic care. It should be obvious that the vertebrae were no longer in their healthy position, and messages coming from the brain to the body were slowed down to a trickle. The fact is that many spines were neglected for decades and can only be corrected partially. Our goal is to return your spine to its healthiest position possible, to turn the trickle back into a flood of life. In just a few moments, we will be showing you your spinal x-rays. If your spine needs corrections, we will have 3 clear objectives. Number 1, start with frequent adjustments, 2 to 3 times weekly, to reduce any symptoms as quickly as possible and to get your body functioning better on the inside. Second, to stay on course, to correct your spine over time with weekly visits to return your spine to the healthiest state possible in order to stop the underlying damage of nerve pressure. And third, to teach you to maintain that new healthier alignment for a lifetime, allowing your body to return to its fullest potential to heal and to keep itself healthy and well. We look forward to a long and healthy relationship with you as well as your family and friends. When your spine is strong and healthy, your body will perform at its best, keeping you healthy and well for a lifetime. We will be with you momentarily.